In today's video, we take a look at the history for one of the most ancient and long-lived legios in the tabletop game Adeptus Titanicus, Legio Gryphonicus, or the War Griffins. A legion of large number with a prevalent appearance across the Imperium of Man as it spread across the stars, the presence of Gryphonicus would be observed for tens of thousands of years. The Legion's primary colors are a light blue-gray with a sunset yellow as its secondary. The armor panels of the Legion's Titans frequently displayed a checkered pattern of white and blue. Most armor panels were trimmed in frames of a rich gold. The Legio's insignia is that of the ancient griffin, symbolizing courage and boldness. This mythical creature had the body of a lion with the head and wings of an eagle. The Legio takes its name from its home forge world, and its moniker from the infantry they watched over. The Legion's appearance on a battlefield was often met with cheering and roaring from allies as a symbol of victory. Originating from the death world of Gryphon IV, located within the Segmentum Tempestus, this forge represents one of the first and oldest expansions of Mars, before the invention of warp drives. Predating the Age of Strife, this world was initially settled during a period known as Old Night. Prior to the creation of the genetic mutant navigators and warp travel, Mars would launch many expeditionary fleets of its own, often extremely unsuccessful, costing the Red Planet many lives, ships, and resources. Gryphon IV was one of the earliest success stories to the Mars expansion. Over the centuries, the Forge grew in strength and was able to expand to nearby star systems like Paramar, Silius, and Yana. This empire, with the Forge Gryphon IV at its center, would become known as the Gryphon Octave. As the empire became known, it also became a seat of technology where industries would go on to produce the famous Leman Russ Conqueror and the Titanic volcano cannons. In the Empire's defense, Legio Gryphonicus would deploy strong tactics and form a close bond with the many infantry forces across the multiple worlds within the Gryphon Octave. The Legion became highly regarded in a close support role. During the periods of Old Night and the Age of Strife, Gryphon IV and its empire would maintain sporadic and inconsistent contact with Mars, however still stay loosely connected with the progress of the Red Planet. Having maintained loose contact with Mars, the Gryphon Octave would hear news of the Treaty of Olympus and the Great Crusade of the Imperium. When the Emperor and his Martian delegates arrived within the Gryphon Octave, the Empire would join the Imperium without hesitation. Because of the Gryphonicus' reputation for working extremely well with ground infantry forces, the Legion found itself in high demand across many explorator fleets. During their time in the Great Crusade, the War Griffins earned many battle honors during campaigns, most notably with the Astartes of the Dark Angels, Imperial Fists, and Death Guard Space Marines. It should be said the Legion strongly opposed splitting its forces within multiple campaign battle sectors. Instead, they preferred to work as a single, independent, heavy contingent, reinforcing their allies where required. Ultimately, the Legion would be utilized as a garrison protecting the strategically important worlds across the Imperium, or as wardens of new worlds in the Imperium's expansion. During the initial outbreak of the Horus Heresy, the Legion would find itself spread too thin to mount any meaningful opposition against the forces of the War Master Horus. Instead of being able to fight in Legion size, Gryphonicus would instead offer pockets of incoherent resistance against Horus, as the heresy touched the many worlds the Legion was garrisoned on. The princeps of Gryphonicus took a deep pride in laying their traitorous kin low across the many battlefields, and would assist countless loyal Titan legios against the traitor forces of the War Master and the Titan legions that chose to follow him. At the end of the heresy, the surviving scattered elements of the War Griffins would regroup at an ancient mustering point, called the Plains of Achamatos, located on the Legio's home forge of Gryphon IV. This reunion would commit the surviving forces of the Legio to the campaign known as the Scouring, which would see most of the traitor forces pushed back into the Warp and the Eye of Terror. The princeps of Legio Gryphonicus come from a culture of martial tradition. They're known for taking a fierce pride in their Legio's history and are honorable in nature. It's common for the princeps of the Legio to seek out individual targets among the enemy ranks and engage that enemy Titan in one-on-one combat. The Legio and its Titan crews valued strong discipline. However, this came at a balance of its princeps' desire to add glory to their family names and their Titans' honor banners. Sometimes, this desire for personal glory would lead to internal rivalries, of which the Legion's princeps would honorably resolve. Should such an internal offense occur, the princeps of the War Griffins would hold a controlled honor duel. These duels would likely be fought with the use of melee weapons, such as swords of various types. There's nowhere within this legion where this thirst for glory is more present than in the War Griffin's Warhound princeps. Where most legions utilized warhounds in support roles or hunting packs, the Gryphonicus Warhound princeps preferred to hunt alone and scout out ahead of the main force as a lone wolf. These princeps were known for their aggressive nature and striking out alone regardless of the consequences of potentially finding themselves greatly outgunned. Should they survive a dire engagement, their renown would only grow unrestrained, and should they fall, it was done so honorably. In either case, their family and Legio names were strengthened through their actions. Gryphon IV was one of the earliest successful colonies of the Martian Mechanicum. That said, it's unsurprising to learn Legio Gryphonicus is classed as a Primus grade legion. The legion employs several unique systems to their god engines provided by this ancient forge. The Warhounds of Gryphonicus utilize an enhanced Auspex system, providing intel to distant maniples as they scout ahead alone in a theater of war. This provides better radar readings to friendlies, allowing them to access the Warhound system readings almost directly. War Griffin Reavers, being the main engine of the Legion, utilized separate reactors to increase their speed of the Battle Titan. Where sub-motive reactors were not employed, many Reaver Titans were outfitted with stronger armor called gravitas plating. This extra armor came at the cost of speed, but would actually increase Titan survivability. As a whole, most of the Legion's strength was in Reaver Titans outfitted for unconventional roles within maniples, through unique upgrades and armaments. The following is a rough outline of the Legion's God Engine complement and allocation. Though exact details are vague, what is known is this was largely a Reaver class, and the Legion at its height contained 176 Titans. Some noteworthy campaigns and engagements for Gryphonicus, in particular along the Adeptus Titanicus book line, are as follows. Legio Gryphonicus is a very prevalent colligia titanica force. They would continue to have a presence on the battlefield well into the 41st millennia. Ultimately, the most, if not all, of the Legion's Titans would fall to the Great Devourer, including the Legio's homeworld of Gryphon IV, along with the Gryphon Octet. The Tyranid Hive Fleet of Leviathan would move across the outer edges of the Segmentum Tempestus and consume all they touched, including this mighty Titan Legion. That was a brief look at Legio Gryphonicus and its bright history within the Imperium of Man. If you're enjoying this content, then subscribe so you can stay up to date with all the channel posts and when your favorite Titan Legion becomes the topic of conversation. That's it for this post, and I'll catch you next time on the next video for the Legion series.